Hello, hello. How are you tonight? I hope you're all doing well. Tonight, we are going to talk about stress and what stress actually does to our bodies. And then after that, after we talk a little bit about different, how stress affects different systems in our body, I'm going to give you a couple of tips on how to manage. Hi, Terry. Good to see you. How to manage the stress or what you can do to reduce it. So I'm going to be reviewing my notes. I just want to tell you because I want to make sure I get everything in tonight because I think it's super important that we learn how to manage our stress. It's part of being healthy and it's part of helping us to reduce the anxiety in our life and depression as well. So let's talk about stress. So everyone expresses stress from time to time. It's a natural physical and mental reaction to certain life experiences, right? So what stress does, it protects us in case of an emergency, and it prepares our body so that we can react quickly. I just was watching a documentary, I think it was yesterday on HBO, and they were talking about stress in our nation is, everybody is so high stressed. We're self-medicating ourselves, whether it's medicating ourselves with food, we're becoming obese. We might be medicating ourselves with medication like anti-anxiety and depression drugs, opiates, alcohol, and all different aspects of things that are not good for us, right? So a natural state of stress, what happens to our body is our muscles would tense, our breathing would be rapid, but once the situation is over, our body would normally be calmed down. And that would be normal, right? So that's normal, like out in the wild, say an animal is being chased by another animal and they get away. So their stress level goes higher, they're able to get away, and then they go into their natural state and they're fine. But with people, sometimes we're in this chronic state of stress. So our days are, the stress keeps firing day after day. And then that's when it becomes chronic stress, and that's when our health starts to suffer for it. So some of the symptoms of chronic stress are irritability, anxiety, depression, headaches, insomnia. Those are just a few. And what I wanted to do was just go over, I think it's four different systems in our body. So like one is respiratory and cardiovascular systems. We're going to go over that one first. So what happens with our cardiovascular and respiratory system when we have chronic stress? Well, our breathing is always rapid, right? So we're breathing, it's getting faster and faster, and that has a big effect on people who have asthma or emphysema. So it makes it harder to breathe if you already have those conditions. Your heart is going to pump faster. Your blood vessels are going to constrict. It's going to cause your blood pressure to rise, and you can then possibly have a stroke and a heart attack. Now, these are extreme cases, but this is something that can happen if you have chronic stress. Now, so that's what happens with your respiratory and cardiovascular. So let's talk a little bit about our digestive systems. So what happens when we have chronic stress? It can cause our liver, so just general stress causes the liver to produce more glucose. Now, when you have chronic stress and your liver keeps producing more glucose after more glucose, our body's having a hard time keeping up with regulating the glucose. So then you might possibly be a candidate to get type 2 diabetes. Now, there's a lot of different aspects on type 2 diabetes, but this is one of them, chronic stress. can contribute to that. So the second part of the digestive system, so first it was the liver, right? Now, when you have chronic stress, you have all these extra hormones, the cortisol levels are higher. Your breathing is more rapid and your heart rate is more rapid. And then what all those do is upset your digestive system, can cause heartburn, can cause acid reflux. Then there's the third aspect, and this is another cause of the chronic stress, may cause diarrhea, vomiting, nausea, constipation, and stomach aches. I've seen that happen before. I've seen where the stress that I've had in my life, my response to stress, which ended up being anxiety a lot of the time, I would have flu-like symptoms whenever I had an anxiety attack. So I would have the vomiting, I would have the nausea, the diarrhea. So I totally understand where that all comes from. And that's not a good thing. So two more systems in our body. First, we'll talk a little bit about the muscular system. Now, chronic stress, so normally stress, right? You feel your muscles are tense up, right? Well, your muscles tense up to protect themselves from injury. But when it's chronic, like what I've had, keep saying what I've had, but I'm sure a lot of people have had this as well. So our muscles are tight, and they never get that chance to relax. So they're always stressed, right? So this then will cause, and it's mostly always up here, right? It's always up in your shoulders and your neck and everything, and your back. So this causes headaches, backaches, shoulder pain, and just all over body aches. It may cause, it doesn't have to cause, but it may cause. And then the final system I wanted to talk about is our immune system. So when we're chronically having stress, well, first of all, let me just say, normal stress stimulates the immune system, right? But over time, when we have too much cortisol, the stress hormones, they start to weaken our immune system. And then we become more susceptible to viruses like the flu and the common cold even. And then what happens is when we get those viruses, it takes us longer to recover from them, right? I'm sure we've all had that happen to us before. I mean, you're stressed, and then all of a sudden, I've seen this happen even in my own family members, and then all of a sudden you're catching a cold, then you're even more stressed because you're sick, you have to call into work sick, and it's just a endless battle. So I'm going to take a little break. Let me see, Terry. Yes. Interesting that chronic stress can lead to diabetes. I was surprised, but it makes sense, you know, because our livers can only handle so much of everything. You know, a lot of people are, I don't know, our livers nowadays are more sickly anyways because of all the toxins as well as all the stress that we have in our lives, right? And yeah, see, you've had those flu-like symptoms as well, right? And the muscle tension. I know it's awful. It's really awful. So let's talk about a few ways that a few things we can do to eliminate the stress. First off, and I want to say, everybody here probably knows I love to hike, but there's a reason why I love to be outside. And I just want to say, just being in nature actually has been proven to reduce stress. So being out in the forest has been shown to lower your blood sugar and lower your cortisol levels. I was actually kind of surprised, but I've seen several things on that. And it's pretty interesting. So another way to eliminate stress is to drink more water. I'll explain a little bit about that, but what I want to say about drinking water, a lot of people I know don't drink any water at all. I'm shocked. But it is, our bodies are mostly made of water, and we're chronically dehydrated all the time. So it's really good to drink half of your body weight in ounces. So if you're, say, 120 pounds, you should drink 60 ounces of water a day. And that's just a minimum. You can drink a lot more than that. Hi, Tracy. But you really should drink at least half your body weight in ounces. Now, drinking water, what I've learned today is that even if you're down half a liter of what you should have normally drink a day, this can trigger increased levels of cortisol. And those are the stress hormones that you want to be level and not to be increased. Okay, so that's number 2. So first, get outside. Number 2 is drink water. And number 3 is do something for yourself. And we're going to be talking a lot more about self-care in this group. But one thing I just want to say today is that taking time away from the things that stress you is a great way for your brain to just calm down and reset. So a couple things I do is massage once a month, have coffee with a friend, or a glass of wine, or whatever like that. Or even if you just, after work, maybe you have a stressful day at work, maybe you just want to chill a little bit and just have a conversation with a friend, even if that helps you calm down. Another thing I like to do is drip. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's spending time in an infrared sauna, and it's very relaxing. You wrap it in a blanket, and it really detoxifies your body, but it really gives you some sense of peace and calmness as well. It takes you away from everything else. You just put a headset on, listen to music or whatever you like. That's something I really like to do. Or even maybe go to a yoga class with a friend, or even by yourself. Sometimes it's good just to be away and not have to talk to anybody. So let me see. So number 4 is to breathe, but consciously breathe. Now, this is something that I've been doing more often, and I guess I'll find something for you guys, an app or something, because there's so many apps out there that you can just start up and would help you. Like if you're in a stressful situation and you really need to calm down, you really need some restorative breathing. There's some calming and breath-related apps that we could put on our phones or tablets that could help us. And number 5 is to really separate your life and work and figure out, if you have a job, is your job causing most of your stress, or is your home life causing your stress? Because once you can separate that out and figure out which is causing the stress, then that way you'll be able to help yourself and understand and move forward from there, right? So take a close look at your day and analyze it. And then if it's work that's causing your stress, find time before you go home just to kind of decompress. So you don't get irritable with your family or things like that, or your loved ones, or whatever your situation is, right? And then take some time, if it's not work, if it's home, make sure you take some time for the self-care and take some time for yourself. So let me just take a little look. Oh, you guys are funny with the wine. Yes. More water than wine. That's good. Yeah, I love my wine too, but I always make sure I get enough water in, right? Yeah, that is, oh, you never did the blanket, Terry? Yeah, the blanket's something new that we have in town. You actually go to a house and they have all these separate rooms, and it's the weirdest thing at first, and you kind of maybe feel a little claustrophobic, but you have to get over it and then just close your eyes and relax, and it's really great. And you end up like totally drenched. They actually give you clothes to wear because you wouldn't want to walk out of there with your own clothes, because you really do get soaked. It's kind of cool. So, well, thank you guys for joining me tonight. And oh yeah, Tracy, I see call a friend on the way home. I know me and you do that a lot. So that's always really good for both of us to kind of decompress, and then when we get home, we're all happy, right? So again, thank you guys for joining me. And if you have any questions, or if you're catching the replay and you have questions, put them in here and I'll get back to you guys. Bye for now.